Welcome to Match Day once again. Ipswich Town are in Premier League action on a Sunday afternoon. We've all the action right here. Kick-off against the defending champions Manchester City is just moments away. Your commentary team at Portman Road is Mick Mills, the former Town captain. He's alongside Brenna Woolley.
Well, this is another one of those games that we started to look forward to pretty much as soon as the dust had settled on the promotion party in May. Well, City are no longer the dominant, almost unstoppable force they once were. You don't really need me to tell you they're still a squad packed with quality, led by one of the most successful managers of all time, and a side that's still more than capable of crushing most teams on their day. Town do have a chance. They'll be taking great heart from their win over Chelsea here just before the turn of the year. They'll also be fully revved up to bounce back from Thursday's disappointing defeat here to Brighton. That said, I think most of us would still happily take a point from this one. We don't really want to be travelling to the league leaders next weekend off the back of successive home losses. Mick, I'm just keen to get your thoughts. We'll get to Town in a moment or so, but you've been involved in football a long old while. I just wanted to get your thoughts on Pep Guardiola's achievements and the impact that he's had on English football. It's been incredible, hasn't it?
Yes, it has, and I think the word impact is absolutely perfect for him, because I think the two sort of managers that come from other countries into this country and really stamp their authority on the game is Arsene Wenger, of course, but Pep came in sort of. He brought the Barcelona game to this country, and I remember when he came, people said, no chance. You will not be able to play that way in the Premier League. He came, he taught the players how to do it, he proved people wrong, he was successful doing it, and everybody copied him. And that's why you've got the game played the way it's played now. He was a great player, obviously a terrific manager and a fantastic coach, and his record is absolutely superb. I, amongst everybody else, have loved watching his team play. They have been absolutely phenomenal for goodness knows how long now, about 7 or 8 years. He has been brilliant. You know, he's one of my favourite sort of people involved in football. He really is, and I think he's been absolutely marvellous to bring that way of playing into, you know, a way that we have in this country, and just changed everything.
The two teams out in front of us here at Portman Road. There isn't a spare seat for this one. Ipswich Town at home to the team that have won the Premier League for the last 4 seasons, 5 times in a row. At the moment for them, 8th in the table, although they could go up into the top 4. The win here this afternoon possibly looked beyond them. The two managers now down below us, Kieran McKenna and Pep Guardiola. Phenomenal size of entourage. The number of people walking along towards both benches has been astonishing whilst Mick was chatting there. Well, numerous changes for both sides. 5 for Ipswich Town. Phillips can't play against his parent club, so he's nowhere to be seen. Wolfenden, Greaves, Burns and Broadhead are the players dropping out from the side beaten here by Brighton on Thursday. Into the back line come Godfrey for his league debut and Burgess. You've also got Johnson, Morsey and Clark reinstated to the side. So it's Walton in goal. The back three of Godfrey on loan from Atalanta, O'Shea, who we heard from earlier on match day, and Burgess. Johnson, the wing back down the right, Davis down the left. In midfield between them, Morsey the captain alongside Kayuste. Delap leads the line against his former club. He's supported by Hutchinson, and Jack Clark gets another start. That's because Philogene is on the bench, hoping to make his debut, having arrived from Aston Villa in the week. Fellow subs, Murrich, a former Manchester City goalkeeper, Hurst, Broadhead, Burns, Taylor, Townsend, Luongo, and great to see Twanzebe back involved as well. 4 changes made by Pep Guardiola. Aki, Silva, Savinho and Ortega drop out. Edison is back in goal. Diaz returns at centre-half. Gundogan into midfield, and Doku is one of their wide attackers. So Edison in goal, about 4, Nunez, Akanji, Diaz. Diaz's first appearance since the Manchester derby in the middle of December. And Gvardiol. Then you've got the 2 of Kovacic alongside Gundogan, a 3 of Foden, De Bruyne the captain, and Doku. Erling Haaland, having just signed that new 9.5-year deal, is their attacker with the number 9 on his back. Got a hat-trick against Ipswich Town earlier on this season, the first of 2 so far for the Norwegian, who scored 79 Premier League goals and 87 appearances, and incidentally 7 of this side started the Champions League final win over Inter Milan 19 months ago, and one of the other 4, Kovacic, won it 3 times in a row with Real Madrid. That's what Town are up against this afternoon. On the bench, Ortega, Grealish, Silva, Savinho, Mabama, O'Reilly, Lewis, McAtee and Elaine, as the 2 sets of players head towards the centre circle, where there will be a minute's silence in memory of former City player Dennis Law, who passed away a couple of days ago.
In 1964, our deepest condolences go out to his family and friends, as well as his former clubs. There will now be a minute's silence that will start and end on the referee's whistle. May he rest in peace.
Well, it was meant to be silence, but it turned into a minute's applause for Dennis Law. Quite remarkable player, had 2 spells at Manchester City, and of course a very successful spell at Manchester United, sandwiched in between them. Still holds the record at Old Trafford for 46 goals in a season, the only Scottish player to win the Ballon d'Or, 55 caps and 30 goals for his country, and a player that you played against, Mick.
Yeah, very much so. When people talk about the threesome, this is a sort of final goodbye to Law, Best and Charlton. An absolutely amazing threesome. I remember Man City tried to sort of replicate that with Lee, Bell and Summerby. Now, they were 3 exceptional players, but these 3 were on a different planet, and Dennis Law was unbelievable. Cheeky, but very, very good.
The referee this afternoon, Sam Barrett, who did the 0-0 draw down at Brighton earlier on this season. We'll take a repeat of that this afternoon. Still one of those pinch me moments. Ipswich Town are playing Manchester City at Portman Road in the Premier League, and play is underway. Town in blue shirts, white shorts, blue socks, playing from left to right. So Walton in all yellow, stationed in front of the Sir Bobby Robson stand. Manchester City in their changed all claret kit. They have Edison, the Brazilian, just outside his area, off to our right. It's an early throw-in on this near side, which Gvardiol, the Croatian, will take. Really a centre-half by trade, but has been playing a lot of his football for City at left-back, and is a threat in forward areas as well. He's got a really good goal-scoring record. He's got the throw-in. Nunez, the other fullback, is actually a midfielder for City. There's a shortage of fullbacks on the books in general at the Etihad. Town of the ball with Hutchinson. Godfrey gets his 2nd touch of the game. The first was a really good header within seconds of this one starting. Burgess on the edge of the Ipswich area gives it up to Clark. Little lay off to the far side, and Davis. A few players getting a nice early confident touch in blue. 1-touch stuff inside the Ipswich half of the field. Haaland closes down Burgess. Burgess hits it up towards Delap on halfway. He'll be a man motivated. He's bundled to the ground, the Ipswich Town number 19. Hasn't actually scored in open play since the win at Tottenham, Liam Delap. He'll be very keen to end that relatively dry spell for him this afternoon. Hutchinson, another good touch. Goes back to Godfrey, and O'Shea, who, as we expected, is playing in the middle of the 3. Town with lots of the ball. Back to Walton it goes. Closed down by Haaland. He dinks it to the right side. Godfrey gives it to Johnson. This is excellent play from Ipswich Town. It's been a fantastic start. Godfrey on a gallop down the right-hand side, everything to his left. He started very well, the former Norwich player. He goes back to Johnson underneath us. Morsey wants the ball. No surprise he's in the team with no Phillips. Morsey goes cross-field. Cushioned header back by Nunez. He's given Ipswich Town a corner kick. It's been a fabulous first 2 minutes from Ipswich.
Yeah, terrific start by Town. The first ball that Liam Delap has received from his defence, he collected it nicely and got us a free kick, and then we produced some really good play down our right-hand side. That's the second best thing we've had today, and now Man City giving away a needless corner. Good start.
Terrific start from Ipswich Town. 2.5 minutes gone under the lights. at a very, very lively Portman Road. Corner kick-off to our right. In it's swung, and it's headed over the bar by Burgess. It's come off a City player. It's another corner kick, this time by the tunnel for Ipswich Town.
Yeah, it's an excellent corner kick. It's really sort of fired very, very close sort of to the penalty spot, and that was where Cameron Burgess made his run from and has made good contact, and it just sort of, as he heads the ball, it goes down onto the top of the Manchester City player's head, and another corner to Town.
Town have their second corner kick inside the opening 4 minutes. Davis to swing this one, headed away by De Bruyne, crouching down on the near post, not good enough. Hutchinson has the ball up against Doku, gives it back to Johnson. All the play down this right-hand side underneath us. Leif Davis comes in, field crosses beyond the far stick. Edison goes towards the ball and plucks it out of the sky terrifically. That was great goalkeeping from one of the very best, even though he's not been playing much of late. Ortega has been the preferred man with the gloves, but Edison back between the sticks. Gvardiol goes back to Diaz. He might be a little bit rusty. Fabulous player on his day, Diaz, but he's missed a lot of football of late. He's gone straight in. He didn't play against Salford, nor did he play against Brentford in the week. Diaz comes straight from nowhere, back in at centre half. He's one of those 7 players in this side that started that Champions League final. Kovacic into midfield, and Gundogan made his second debut for City against Ipswich Town in August. The popular German back at the Etihad after a season with Barcelona. Edison controls the ball comfortably, as you would expect. He's certainly one of the very best in the world with a ball at his feet, Edison. Now Gvardiol down the line to De Bruyne, the captain, and a real magician of a footballer. He hits the ball cross-field to the far side, and Nunes gets up to the halfway line. The Portuguese then checks in field to Akanji, the Swiss centre half. Akanji's got the ball once again to Diaz. It's been a nice start to this game. 4.5 minutes gone. Pep Guardiola with a long puffer jacket on and the big scarf. It's that kind of afternoon here at Portman Road. Rather chilly. Kovacic to Foden, who missed the first game between these two sides at the Etihad. He's in good form at the moment, though, Foden. He lets the ball run to De Bruyne. De Bruyne gets it back towards Nunes. Nunes can't get there in time. It's gone out of play for a goal kick.
Yeah, much better start from Town than we had against Brighton. You know, we've seen more of the ball in this sort of first period than we did for about 20 minutes in that game. Superstar. We've just seen a little glimpse of Man City, but the first thing will have happened is we will have set Man City back on their heels with that good opening.
Gvardiol with a chest trap. Flag's gone up against Delap. I know it counts for very little in the here and now, but this has been a real bogey ground for City down the years. Just one win in their last 28 league games here, Manchester City. And he managed to double Town in 2 separate seasons. One was actually the title-winning season, 61-62, and the other was 94-95 when Town were relegated. Edison with a diagonal ball into midfield, picks up Gundogan, quickly turns, faces halfway, gives it to the left, and Doku, who's lively at the Etihad. Infield from Doku, controlled by Gundogan. He works the ball out to the far side, controlled stomach height by Nunes, comes infield, gives it to De Bruyne, clearly a massive danger. De Bruyne then finds Gvardiol, who gets away from Hutchinson centrally 30 yards from the Town goal line. Still 0-0, 6 minutes gone on BBC Radio Suffolk. De Bruyne tries to thread the ball forward. Kiyuste was in the way. Now Hutchinson has it. He holds off De Bruyne, goes into a bit of a cul-de-sac near side, loses the ball ultimately. Doku with the black hairband. Infield via De Bruyne to Kovacic. Numerous City players get the briefest of touches. Doku has it again on the left-hand side, shifts it infield beyond Johnson, tries to get it around the back of Godfrey. De Bruyne had made a run into the Ipswich area. Town get the ball up to halfway. Gvardiol to the left, and Doku, who's very quick with his feet, jinks infield. Doku still has it. The Belgian came from French football last season. Now it's with the experienced Kovacic, as well as Real Madrid. He's been at Chelsea, played at the very highest level for a long time, Mateo Kovacic. City now getting into their groove with bags of possession after a good start from Ipswich. Such a buzz around this ground. City have got a good travelling support for this late Sunday afternoon game in January. Johnson brings the ball away for Ipswich Town. He's done very well. Then he gives it to Jack Clark. Clark holds off Foden. Then he gets away from Gvardiol. Brilliant running from Jack Clark to the right-hand side. Liam Delap, edge of the area against his former club. Inside the box, Delap maybe with a chance. Still has it. Brilliant from Delap. He shoots, blocked. Might be a chance for Kayuste as far as Godfrey. Godfrey gives it to Johnson. Back to Ben Godfrey. Low into the middle it comes. Blocked and then cleared by City. Sensational play that from Ipswich Town, though. Here comes Haaland on the break, though, for the reigning Premier League champions. It's end-to-end. Now De Bruyne has the ball, tries to get it back to Haaland, blocked up by O'Shea. Wow, what a 30 seconds worth of action.
Brilliant, absolutely brilliant. We did some wonderful stuff. We were unlucky through Delap and then through Johnson. Terrific play, but that's a good response there from Man City, and you saw the pairing of Haaland and De Bruyne, sort of how dangerous they can be just as a pairing on a breakaway.
Gundogan floats the ball in midfield square to Gvardiol. It's a great run from Jack Clark as well. Got away from at least a couple of City players. Left Gvardiol on his backside. Delap goes hip to hip up against Diaz. Now Nunez on the far side. Former Wolves player Akanji onto the centre spot. It's back with Ruben Diaz. Forward Gvardiol. Town though have done very well so far. Definitely that front three scene that we expected. Hutchinson and Clark either side of Delap. Doku spins in field. The ball goes away from no foul by Johnson. Morsey gives it back to the former West Ham man. Here is Ben Johnson back towards Godfrey, who's made a very good start, Mick Mills, hasn't he, Godfrey?
Yes, he has. He's had plenty of the ball, and that's what you would want. You know, you've just joined a new team, a new club, and you want the ball. You want to show people what you can do, and he's done really well. And you know, it's going to be a tough game for him, obviously, but he started really well. Ball
in field from Gvardiol, might go all the way to Foden. Good covering from Leif Davis. Went in field with Foden. Delap, really as ever, up for this one, trying to spin on the ball, but just outnumbered. Gundogan, the number 19, to the right-hand side. Nunez, held up by Clark, getting back. Doubling up with Leif Davis in the left-back area, the former Sunderland man. Now it's with Foden. Short it goes to Gundogan. Back out to the right-hand side. He was Player of the Year last season, Foden, in the Premier League. Had an exceptional season. Kovacic tries to thread the ball through Morsey. Comes back off the Egyptian. City rebuild. Gvardiol to the left. Doku up against Johnson. Beat him once, wants to do it again. Now he goes back in field to Kovacic. Still 0-0. Pretty much 10 gone in this Premier League game, live on BBC Radio Suffolk. Town away to Liverpool next weekend. That's a Saturday at 3 o'clock. Cleared by Burgess. Just nipped in there ahead of Gundogan, but it's City who get their foot on the pedal with Kovacic. Kovacic trying to find Doku, possibly too much on the ball. Doku prevented it going out for a goal kick. It's a throw to Town at right back.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. Both the Man City, the right flank and the left flank, they're totally different. You're going to have Doku who's going to sit on the touchline, so Gvardiol will only just support him. On the other side, Foden's going to come in field a lot, and that will leave a lot of room for Nunez to come down into that space. So Leif Davis and Kajust have got to really work hard together over on that far side.
Not just in terms of the scoreline, but also the way his teams applied themselves. Kieran McKenna will be pleased with Town so far. Here are City, though. Flag's gone up against them on the far side. Yeah, he'd be very pleased, will Kieran, with what he's seen from his side in the first 11 minutes. Earlier on this weekend, wins for Bournemouth, Liverpool, Fulham, Palace, and then today Everton, Brighton and Nottingham Forest. Brighton winning 3-1 at Manchester United. But like I was saying to Mick before Graham threw to us, that kind of scoreline for an away team at Old Trafford, this isn't really a surprise anymore. Once upon a time that would have been big news, Brighton at winning at Old Trafford, but you kind of think, oh well, there you go. There is Walton, the former Brighton player, has the ball in his 6-yard box off to our left. Burgess to Davis. Town still have it in their defensive third. Burgess has to dig out a clearance, sliced it out on the far side of the field for a throw-in. Yeah, if City win this one by 3 goals, they go up to 4th in the table above Newcastle United. On goals scored it would be. Gvardiol, there's a slip from Hutchinson in front of him. City work the ball out to their left, the near side, and Doku infield to Gvardiol. Kovacic forward looking for De Bruyne. Morsey steps in there against the opposing captain and wins the ball well. Hutchinson in front of Guardiola near side. Well, Guardiola thinks that was a dive by Hutchinson. The referee's blown up though.
I would go with him as well, because there were 3 players all around him and there was nowhere to go, and I think, you know, in that situation you try and just work the ball enough and wait for a little touch and down you go.
Kieran McKenna having a word with Ben Godfrey while there's a little break in play. Now Amari Hutchinson, who's stumbling a little bit, but he's going to be absolutely fine. Play back underway. 12 and a half gone on BBC Radio Suffolk. Alex Matthew will be alongside me at Anfield, incidentally, for full match commentary of that game against Liverpool, the current leaders of the Premier League. Long ball forward by Burgess. It's an excellent one to Davis. They're about the early cross. There's only Delap in the centre. Davis has held on to the ball. Back it goes into midfield, and Kayuste, he links up with Morsey. Town now have the ball with Jack Clark. Morsey coming in field, back to the centre circle. O'Shea, good to speak to him after the game on Thursday night, that interview we played earlier on match day. Godfrey round the corner to Hutchinson. Hutchinson might get away from Kovacic. No, both players ended up on the deck. Hutchinson looked more likely to get up that bit quicker, but Kovacic struck out his right leg and toe poked the ball away from Hutchinson. Here is Gundogan to Haaland. Haaland goes back to Diaz. Diaz then finds Edison way off to our right hand side, which tells you that City have the ball inside their penalty area. Not quite been the season they were expecting. They had a run earlier on this season of 1 win in 13 in all competitions, almost unthought of from days gone by in terms of a Guardiola Manchester City. They lost 5 games in a row between October and November, and just 3 wins from the last 12 in the league for City. And they were pegged back from 2-0 to 2-2 by Brentford last week in an exceptional game at the G-Tech. Here is Edison chipping the ball to the far side. Nunes tried to glance his header onto Foden. Burgess gets to the loose ball quicker than anyone. Akanji finds Gundogan. He's been a terrific servant to City. Here is Foden. What a real shining light that's come through their academy in the last 10 years or so. Player of the tournament as England won the Under-17 World Cup a few years ago. Phil Foden. Kovacic through the middle to Haaland, got goal side, Haaland in on goal, saved by Walton, has gone wide and out behind for a corner kick, but wow, that was a brilliant bit of goalkeeping from Christian Walton as Haaland went clear in on goal and the flag stayed down. It looks like it would have counted.
Absolutely outstanding save, it really was. That's where you don't want Haaland. He's definitely onside. Beautiful pass by Kovacic, and that was an excellent save.
What a chance for Manchester City. Brilliant from Christian Walton. Corner kick for City, taken short, wasn't read by Ipswich Town. It's poor Doku shoots to the near post. That's a comfortable one for Walton. There were lots of rumours in the build-up to this game that Aaron Muric was going to start, which I thought would have been the craziest decision, unless Walton had something wrong with him. But it would have been apparent madness, because Walton, he didn't have his greatest game against Brighton, but it would have been a very harsh call for him to have been dropped, and he's certainly justified his inclusion with that fine stop from Haaland. Long kick from Walton towards Delap. Delap heads it down into midfield. Kovacic turns it on, trying to get Haaland in on goal. Out it goes to the left-hand side. Burgess infield. Oh, Kayuste's robbed of the ball. Well played, Gundogan in towards De Bruyne. Not quite Haaland. Kovacic gets right underneath it. Great chance for City, but it's high over the bar.
Yes, this is just telling us that we mustn't make mistakes. You know, this team they've still got something left in them, you know, and they can be sharp. Mistake, we didn't quite get the ball to Kajust, and then there were 2-3 players that were sort of thinking they could finish that attack off. Not one of them was absolutely set to strike the ball at goal until it came back to Kovacic there, and his shot has gone well over the bar. You know, in the end it's hardly a chance, but it was one of those situations they almost created the perfect chance.
City already this season have lost 6 games compared to just 3 in the whole of last year. Gvardiol, nice turn, but then he lost his footing and he lost possession of the ball because he's given it into the centre of the field to Leif Davis. Davis crossing halfway on the far side for Ipswich Town, playing their part in this game with 17 on the clock. It was this man Kiyuste who was robbed by Gundogan a few moments ago. O'Shea through the lines to Hutchinson. Hutchinson tries to pick out Clark, and lucky the idea was right, just didn't make the connection. Núñez to Haaland on his bike, galloping forward. Foden to his right hand side. Foden inside the area. Great block by Burgess. It comes to Morsey inside the box. He knocks it away. City all of a sudden looking a lot more threatening in these last few moments.
Yeah, they do look threatening, and the you know, we talk about Liam Delap when he gets hold of the ball and the surge that he can sort of get because of his pace. Haaland is exactly the same. He controls the ball and he's off, and he goes at pace when he's running the ball. Similar types up either end of the pitch.
So big and strong as well, Haaland. I remember standing next to him in the tunnel post-match at the Etihad. A frightening size of man. I think you're trying to stop him, particularly when he's in full flight. Delap has held the ball up well. He's given it out to the far side, the left. Davis 0-0 as Kiyuste finds Morsey. City, though, in recent times have looked more likely to break the deadlock, and I hope I'm tempting fate as I say that. Kieran McKenna animated in front of us. Godfrey has the ball down the line looking for Hutchinson. High boot clears it away from him by Diaz. Hutchinson looking to the assistant near side, suggesting that Flying Studs challenge by the Portuguese should have been potentially blown up against.
Not for me, you know. Amari Hutchinson wasn't trying to make contact with the ball. He was just trying to run with the ball as the ball was played in the air, and that's just somebody intercepting the ball in the air when his opponent's not going for it at all.
In the 19th minute, 0-0. O'Shea, lovely ball across field to pick out Leif Davis in lots of space. Here come Ipswich Town. Davis early ball into the box towards Delap, but nearer to the gloves of Edison. Edison with a quick bit of distribution, throwing the ball to Kovacic. Already City in just a few seconds have the ball deep inside Ipswich Town territory. Doku now inside the Ipswich area, gets towards the byline, goes square, turned out behind by O'Shea. Corner City.
Well, Doku looks really quick. You know, he's got lightning feet. He really has. But sometimes he's trying to go so quick, you feel that he's going to sort of unbalance himself. But that was a good run. He got to a dangerous area. Decent defending by Town. But this is a good game. This is end-to-end stuff. It's really good.
It is really good. City with Kevin De Bruyne have their second corner kick of this Premier League game. Again, he goes short to Doku. Town seem to be happy to let City do that. Back it goes to De Bruyne. Little side foot to Kovacic. Foden, 30 yards from goal, has a go left-footed. Hits Gundogan. I think it was going off target anyway, but that takes the sting out of it and actually guides it back into the waiting grasp of Christian Walton quite nicely.
I think Gundogan was trying to control the ball, and if he did control it right, then he would have had a sort of a tap in for a goal. But you know, he wasn't trying to sort of just deflect the ball. He was trying to control it.
Yeah, he was onside as well. The attempted flick on from Hutchinson didn't work out. Núñez was happy to head into midfield, as City right backs have of late, whether it be Kyle Walker, Rico Lewis, who's on the bench, or Núñez. No Kyle Walker or John Stones at the moment for Manchester City. Others played a great deal of football this season. Nathan Aki as well, with surprise exclusion from the 20 this afternoon. They've got a youngster, Max Elaine, who would be making his debut if he was to come on at some stage on the City bench. Also got the likes of Savinho, Bernardo Silva and Jack Grealish sitting down below us as well. It's a strong City squad that have made the trip to East Anglia. Cleared away by Edison. Burgess beats Haaland in the air. Haaland showing signs of frustration with his body language. Ben Johnson with a good little header down the line to Hutchinson. In strides Gvardiol. Out goes the ball into the crowd below us. 21 gone, still goalless. Kieran McKenna's got plenty to say for himself this afternoon. Lots of hand gestures as well from the Town boss. Morsey back with the armband. Finds Godfrey. Now O'Shea gives it to Burgess. Burgess down the line. Well measured pass to Davis. Those two have been linking up pretty well in fairly advanced areas. Jack Clark had that one terrific run earlier on in the half, finds Morsey. Davis far side underneath the packed out City section of the cobbled stand. O'Shea up to Hutchinson, first time lay off to Godfrey. Town pinging it around inside the visitors' half of the field. Morsey trying to get it down the line for Johnson. Hutchinson almost controlled it. Diaz up towards Haaland. On halfway is De Bruyne trying a little ball around the back of Burgess for Foden. Burgess got in the way of it, then almost gave it away, but it got to Morsey. Morsey to Jack Clark. Clark's touch is more towards Akanji than away from him as he needed it to be. Diaz and the D off to our right. Hutchinson's closing him down. Left-footed Edison tries to get up to halfway, but Burgess wins the header. Delap's going to try and take it off Kovacic. Delap's taking it off Kovacic. Off he goes. Delap away from Nunez. Wide left. Everybody rises supporting Ipswich Town as this player gets the ball in the final third. He's eventually on this occasion bundled to the floor. He's won Town a free kick in a good position wide left.
Yeah, super run. He's done what he's good at doing. He gets the ball under control and off he goes. He's very positive, and Nunez, who's not really a defender, isn't equipped to deal with that situation, and he gives a free kick away. This is a good position for a free kick. It gives Man City a problem as to where do they form the defensive line. The free kick is only 10 yards from the byline. How close do they go back to the goalkeeper? How much room do they leave us to fire the ball down what is called a corridor?
Well, Town scored first at the Etihad, but if they score first this afternoon at Portman Road, this ground will explode. They've got a chance to do something very special from this set piece, just a yard outside the City box, down the left of it. Davis is standing over the ball.
They're the two key men. Burgess and O'Shea had a word with Davis as well.
Davis with this free kick, he gives it to Hutchinson. Hutchinson shoots over the bar. Oh, he met it really well. It's come off a City player. Had it not, I think that would have been 1-0 Ipswich.
Yeah, that was super. I saw the two big centre-halves go and have a word with Leif Davis, and that word was, we're going to make runs, but pull it back. And Murray Hutchinson be available, like Connor Chaplin does for us. They pull away from the pack, they get some space. He got it. Terrific shot.
Came off the top of Haaland's head. Otherwise, I think that was going in. Corner kick to Ipswich Town. Ben Johnson to take it in. It comes O'Shea with a header straight at Edison. It was on target.
Super. You know, we've got some good headers of the ball in our team, so they're good at the defensive end. They're very good in the attacking end as well. That's a good thumping header.
City are playing well. That's what's so good about Ipswich Town's performance. Town are also playing very, very well. It's not like City having an off day. Here comes Foden for the reigning Premier League champions. Plays the ball out to the left-hand side, and Doku takes it down his right instep. Infield to De Bruyne. The two Belgians linking up. Now Doku back to goal outside the box to Gvardiol. We're still waiting for the first goal of the afternoon on BBC Radio Suffolk. We've had 25 minutes played. Gvardiol goes square to Kovacic. He helps it on its way to the far side via Akanji to Nunez. Nunez guides it away from Davis. Square to Gundogan. Such a good game of football this. There is Nunez again. Akanji once more with his ponytail bobbing on top of his head. He gives it to Kovacic through a little gap to De Bruyne. De Bruyne's layoff finds Doku. Doku tries to shift it away from Johnson. Now checks back out. Infield this time to Kovacic. Going to the man way beyond the far stick. Nunez, little head down to Foden inside the area. Lost his footing at a crucial moment, and it's Kayuste who levers the ball deep into the City half of the field.
Yeah, they do work the ball really well around the opposition's sort of penalty area, and they did that on that occasion. Foden definitely lost his footing. He was looking at his studs after he did it, but you know, that was good for us.
Forward come Manchester City. Gvardiol to Doku. Really entertaining watch this game on BBC Radio Suffolk. Every kick of every Ipswich Town game this season. This game 22 of 38. Ends a little run of 3 successive matches at home in all competitions for Ipswich Town. Kovacic, bang in the centre of the Ipswich Town half of the field. 9 blue shirts in front of him. Now all 10 blues behind the ball. Foden comes in field for City. Crosses the ball from right to left. Doku controls it. We'll have another run at Ben Johnson. Johnson backing off. Doku gets inside the area, gives it to De Bruyne wide left. He plays it into the middle. Brought down by Foden. Foden scores. Sharp work from City, created down the left, and it was the England midfielder Phil Foden who brought it down, turned and found the corner of Christian Walton's net. Town kept it 0-0 for 27 minutes, but now it's the reigning Premier League champions who have the advantage.
In the end, it was a wonderful, little, neat finish into the corner of the net. But I was just looking at Doku and thinking, this guy never goes down the outside, and he didn't on that occasion. He just stepped inside, but the run, I think it was De Bruyne, is excellent, but his control was a bit fortunate. He got it tied up, and then I think that Foden's first touch wasn't brilliant. So De Bruyne's first touch, not good. Foden's first touch, not good, but the way he managed to steer it in the end was very, very good.
Yeah, that's 5 goals in 6 appearances now for Phil Foden. It's his 8th of the season. Wonderfully talented player that he is. But Ipswich Town are a goal behind to Manchester City, as Hutchinson gives the ball back towards O'Shea. O'Shea out to the left-hand side. A win or a draw would take Ipswich Town out of the bottom 3 at the expense of Wolves, who go to Chelsea tomorrow night. Burgess to Kayuste on halfway far side. Clark has the ball. Back it goes to O'Shea, who had that header just a few moments before City took the lead. Now Kayuste in the centre wants to get away from De Bruyne. He's done well. He gets it up towards Delap. Delap gets it out from under his feet to the right hand side. He's got Hutchinson running, so too Johnson. Delap still has it. He has it go. It's on target, but Edison is behind it.
Yeah, that's terrific play from a centre forward. I just think on that occasion maybe, and he does sometimes not do this, he can just lay that ball out to Johnson and then get himself into a proper goal scoring position in the box from Ben Johnson's ball. But you can't argue with him because he got himself in that position, and you know, he deserves to have a crack at goal, if you like.
Looked like being a heavy touch for Edison for a second, giving Delap a sniff, but the Brazilian managed to get it away. Chested down by O'Shea, not particularly well. City get the ball to halfway and into the possession of Haaland. I think has already touched the ball more times than he did at the Etihad, despite the fact he scored a hat-trick on that occasion. Didn't see much of the ball at all. Oh, given away by Godfrey, but he's got it back through a little bit of good fortune. Deserved that, though. He's had a good first 29 minutes of league action for Ipswich Town. That would have been harsh on him if City had made him pay. Here is Gundogan to Gvardiol. He steps forward quickly. Back, though, to Gundogan. On the right-hand side, Mateus Nunes. Preferred at the moment to Rico Lewis in that right-back role. Gundogan to the goal-scorer, Foden. Comes in field, Foden. Shows a bit of it to Jack Clark. Gets nudged by Clark, but City maintain possession of the ball. Gvardiol to Kovacic on the left. Doku quickly into the Ipswich Town area. So quick with those feet of his. Foden, edge of the area, gives it to Kovacic. 2-0 City. Really, really good hit, driven beyond Walton. And in the space of 3 minutes, Manchester City, have gone 2-0 up at Portman Road.
Yeah, they've been able to set up a nice opportunity for Kovacic. It's too comfortable for me. You know, we know Doku's going to come inside 9 times out of 10. We don't sort of, you know, adjust to that. He comes inside. There's a little pass and then another pass further on, you know, that sets Kovacic up. There is a challenge comes in, but it's just too late.
Well hit by him as well, off his right boot. Walton given no chance whatsoever. It's his 4th goal of the season now. This is a right old test for Ipswich Town. Still an hour of this game to go. And they're staring down the barrel of back-to-back home defeats. They lost 4 of their last 5 here, Ipswich. The only positive result was that Chelsea victory just before the turn of the year. But City now with a 2-goal cushion. And neither Haaland nor De Bruyne has scored yet. Haaland will certainly fancy getting his name on the score sheet. For all some people might think he's had a quiet season, he still has managed to get 21 goals. Haaland, I guess it was just because last year was so impressive with 45. 4 hat-tricks last season for him. Just a goal machine. Had that one chance, Walton denied him very well before these goals went in. O'Shea with a header, nodded on by Morsey, comes off the shoulder of Kovacic. Shadow play for a throw. Johnson too quickly tries to get it to Hutchinson, cleared away by Gvardiol. Burgess turns the ball back to Walton. You're going down with United as the chant from the Manchester City fans. A little bit of humour from them. Here is Godfrey. Yeah, another defeat for Manchester United earlier on today. Godfrey for Ipswich Town on the right-hand side. Everything to his left. Holds it up, waits though. Now he's surrounded by a triangle of 3 claret shirts. Eventually finds Johnson. Good from Johnson. Through a little gap to Hutchinson. There is Kayuste. Burgess out to the left and Davis. Good play this from Ipswich Town. Davis to Clark, wide left outside the City area. Jack Clark still has the ball on the right corner of the box as Edison looks at it. Back to Davis. Clark once again for Ipswich Town. Square to Godfrey. Up to the halfway line pretty much. Now Town can come forward. Morsey has it inside the Manchester City half of the field. Pings it off of Clark, gets it back. Morsey diagonally out to the right and Hutchinson up against Doku as the first line of defence for Manchester City. Hutchinson still has the ball, has support from Johnson, gets beyond Doku, well played Hutchinson, in comes his cross, goes all the way to Kayuste on his chest, to his left hand side, Davis in the area, back to Kayuste. This is promising from Ipswich Town. Kayuste still has the ball, gives it to Morsey. Morsey's hunted in a pack of 3 by Kovacic, De Bruyne and Haaland. Ipswich in blue still have a hold of the ball. This is very good. Davis taking on a couple of players far side, can't get beyond them. Nunes plays it off of Kayuste. Goal kick to Edison.
Yeah, that was good play, consistent play. We had them pinned in and our use of the ball was very, very good. I just have a feeling that I've been watching as the half has gone by. Every time Leif Davis makes a run, he finds some room down there. We've just got to make sure the guys on the ball see him. We've ignored him 2 or 3 times, but Nunes is finding it really difficult. He feels as if perhaps that should be Phil Foden's job, but Phil Foden's infield too much and can't sort of go with him. And then he's sort of almost passing Davis on to a centre-back, which is not working. So that's the area for me that we can sort of go down in, the left-back position.
Talking about going down in, Ben Johnson's just taken a tumble, appealing for a free kick not given. The referee got a decent view. His assistant on the near side got a very good view. It's Kovacic, the man who made it 2-0 on BBC Radio Suffolk. Gundogan back to Edison. Normally when you play Manchester City in the Premier League, think, well, at least the next game will be a bit easier. Sadly, it's not. Ipswich have got to go to Anfield and face Liverpool on Saturday. Here comes City. Kovacic out to the left-hand side, De Bruyne. Back come the blue shirts en masse off to our left. De Bruyne infield to Kovacic. He might fancy another go for goal. No, out to the right, Nunes outside the Ipswich area. Gets away from Davis. In comes his cross straight into the hands of Walton.
Yeah, there's a sweeping move again. It started over on the right-hand side. It's come across the pitch and then up the pitch, and then it's gone back to the right-hand side for sort of a chance to get the ball in the box. You know, they're playing well, Man City. We started very well, and we just got to sort of get a bit of belief in ourselves, and we can still sort of carry a threat.
Delap does well, takes the ball off of Nunes. Now it's with Kayuste. Just 2 goals from open play in the last 5 games for Ipswich Town. So it's going to be tricky to score goals this season. Obviously very reliant on Liam Delap. Now inside the centre circle, it's Kayuste. He goes back to O'Shea. O'Shea passes the ball distance to the far side, and Davis, who just keeps it in. Back to Cameron Burgess, one of the 5 changes pre-kick-off. Burgess floats the ball down the left wing, measured perfectly for Davis, wide left outside the City box. In comes his cross, Edison goes to it as Delap's just been shielded from the Brazilian by the 2 centre-halves.
Yeah, it was a goalkeeper's ball from Davis's cross, but that's the type of run that I'm talking about. He set off there, and Nunes is sort of like, is it do I take the run or don't I take the run? And by then Cameron Burgess has hit the ball into a lot of freedom for Leif Davis to go into a good crossing position.
Tanara up against the side that won the Club World Cup just last season. Got that massive Champions League game in the week against Paris Saint-Germain. Neither side so far has done as well as they would have wished so far in that competition this season. Start of the year, it's unthinkable either of them wouldn't make the knockout stages, but there is a possibility, so that's huge in the week for Manchester City. Godfrey towards Hutchinson, ball just runs away from him. Gvardiol steps in, forward he comes, he's got Haaland to his left hand side. Gvardiol goes into the box towards Haaland. Eventually it's brought down by Foden back to goal. No time or room to shoot just now. Foden, edge of the box, finds De Bruyne. De Bruyne shoots over the bar. And well over the bar from just 15 yards.
Yeah, I'm surprised he sort of hit it high, because he possibly could have steered it into a corner, but also a little tuck ball around the corner to Doku might have been the best thing, because Doku would have been right behind our defensive line.
Yeah, Town have got Liverpool next. The next home game is against Southampton, another 3 o'clock Saturday game. And then also 3 o'clock on a Saturday is the Coventry FA Cup trip. That's been confirmed for Saturday the 8th of February at the Coventry Building Society Arena, where Town had that wonderful win last season, which took them to the verge of promotion to the Premier League. Then it's a trip to Aston Villa next month. They return against Tottenham. Goodness knows who'll be in charge of Tottenham by then, after their defeat to Everton today. And then that trip to Manchester United, the kick-off time on the 26th of February, slightly tweaked. That's now 7:30 at Old Trafford, the final Wednesday night of next month. So some interesting, exciting games on the horizon for Ipswich Town. Kovacic, he got the second goal of this 2-0 scoreline to Manchester City. 38 minutes have been played. City with a bit of possession of the ball inside their half of the field. Now here is Gundogan, captained the side in the Champions League final win over Inter Milan that completed the treble. I mean, they only won the treble 19 months ago or so, City. Gvardiol. It's a massive task for Ipswich Town, this. Gvardiol plays a 1-2 with De Bruyne. Sorry, it's Doku to De Bruyne, inside the area, left of centre, into the middle, dealt with by Burgess, back to De Bruyne. City keep this attack alive on the left-hand side. Doku to De Bruyne by the dead ball line. In comes his cross. Powerful header behind by Burgess, not taking any chances. Corner kick to the visitors.
Yeah, they are playing well. I mean, there's a group of players there, starting from Doku through De Bruyne, Gundogan, Kovacic, all those players. Foden just outside our penalty area, working the ball, always looking very dangerous.
Not a great deal more Ipswich Town can do, in all honesty. City are purring. They're really up for this one, and they sense blood. They sense the opportunity to do some good for their goal difference. They lead 2-0, take another short corner kick, which again Town seem happy enough for them to do. De Bruyne closed down by Clark. The loose ball goes out to Kovacic. Now Foden, who got the first of City's 2 goals, crosses towards the far post. Neither one thing nor the other. No one got on it. Goal kick to Walton.
Yeah, I've watched Town a lot this season, where they seem as if they don't mind the opposition taking a short corner. I'm not in favour of it. I think if you allow a team to take a short corner and they're not abusive with it, then it's very, very dangerous. More dangerous than the one that goes straight into a ruck of players.
Final 5 minutes of normal time at the end of this first half. O'Shea towards Clark. Clark goes to ground. City have the ball again on the left-hand side with Doku. Doku can't find Diaz. Goes out of play off an Ipswich Town player right in front of Pep Guardiola. What a record he's had at City. 6 Premier Leagues, 2 FA Cups, 4 League Cups, 1 Champions League, a European Super Cup and a Club World Cup. That's not a bad return. And the Spaniard, of course, signed that new extended deal earlier on this season, when fellow Premier League managers thought they might be about to get a breather from him at the end of this campaign. He's going to hang around a bit longer. O'Shea nods the ball down away from Haaland, and then eventually it's off a Manchester City player for a throw to Ipswich at right back. Big win that for Everton, their first under David Moyes earlier on, 3-2 against Tottenham. Another win for Nottingham Forest at the other end of the table. And I mentioned Brighton's success at Old Trafford. Akanji measures the ball back to Ederson. Delap's going to go and close him down, but not quickly enough. Akanji gets it back from Ederson. The press is on from Clark and then Hutchinson. City bypass it. The header from Godfrey is dealt with by De Bruyne. Gundogan prods it to Doku. De Bruyne has made a run into the area. He's got the ball by the byline. Into the middle it comes. Turned towards goal by Foden. And it's in for 3-0. City running away with this one before half-time. Pep Guardiola celebrates with a fist pump down below us. And it's now Ipswich Town 0. Reigning Premier League champions Manchester City 3.
Yeah, they've got a number of players that are playing well today, but De Bruyne is on top of his game. You know, he's making some terrific runs, very, very dangerous runs, you know, and that was one of them. Once he made that run and he was picked out, all sorts of things were going to happen. He actually was the player that won the ball on the halfway line, continued his run. He's got in right behind everybody, and, you know, the picking out of Foden is easy. You could say the finish of Foden is easy, but the run from the halfway line of De Bruyne at his age is exceptional.
It's unlucky for Walton. It hit his left hand underneath him and then just snuck into the net with no pace on it whatsoever in the end. Now it's obviously all about just damage limitation as far as Ipswich Town are concerned. It's another defeat, but it's just a case of how bad it's going to be. Long from O'Shea, out on the far side it goes for a throw-in, which Nunez will be taking for Manchester City. 2.5 minutes to go until half-time. Kieran McKenna silently, calmly watches down below us. Forward from Kovacic to the chest of Haaland, who of course still hasn't scored yet. Foden miscontrols. Gundogan rarely gives the ball away. Such a quality footballer. Back it goes now to Akanji, former Borussia Dortmund player. Akanji in all 5 of Switzerland's games at Euros. Doku infield towards De Bruyne. Morsey does a good job getting onto it for Ipswich Town, then glides away from Gundogan, pretty much on the centre spot now, the Ipswich captain. Gives it to Davis, but only lets him borrow the ball because Morsey's got it back. Morsey towards Hutchinson with a high ball into a central striker area. De Bruyne's on the ball trying to find Foden. Foden, of course, on a hat-trick, still has work to do on this occasion. I'm not quite sure what that was from Foden. I think he got it in his mind at one stage he was going to have a shot at goal, and then it was clearly a pass he was trying to find Haaland with. The only problem being that he hit it with the power of a shot, and it was nowhere near the Norwegian.
No, it was grossly overhit. Even if it was on target for Haaland, it would have been difficult to sort of kill it dead for himself to have a chance to score a goal. But again, it's a nice sweeping move. It comes down the left to start with, and then you've got people making runs. Foden has picked up an awful lot of balls by playing well infield. You don't ever see him out on the right touchline. He comes in, he's playing, sort of his starting position is, you know, 15-20 yards in from the touchline.
Final minute of the first half. The board is primed to tell us how much added on time there is going to be. Ipswich Town 0, Manchester City 3. City odds on to complete their 3rd league double over Ipswich Town. But as we said at the start of the season, these games are always bonus point fixtures. And I guess Town got 3 of those bonus points here against Chelsea. If they looked at the 8 or 10 games Town would play against the really biggest clubs in the Premier League. Here come City again from the back. Kovacic runs across the line of Hutchinson, gets it to halfway, and Foden got a couple of hat-tricks last season. Certainly sensing blood here this afternoon with 2 on the scoreboard already and half the game still to go. 1 minute of added on time to be played. Diaz picks it up centrally out to left, and Doku, who's seen a lot of the ball against Ben Johnson. Doku still has it. Now it's with De Bruyne. A couple of assists for him in this first half. Gundogan has the ball. Everybody back behind it in terms of Ipswich Town players. Given away by Kovacic. I think it's the first time he's done that. Morsey finds Kiyuste, tried the spin, didn't work out. Foden has the ball. Foden inside the area towards Haaland. Foden gets it back. Out to the left side. As far as Ipswich Town are concerned, the clearance from Burgess. Out for a throw to Foden. Final seconds of this first half. It's going to be a throw-in. Should be taken by the number 27, Nunez. That should just about be it. The referee looks at his watch. City pass it around a few more times far side. And that is it for the first half here at Portman Road. Town getting a decent round of applause from their fans. They get it. They understand the situation here. They know that their team is up against a phenomenal side. Sadly, the phenomenal side leads this game 3-0, McNeils.
Yes, and they have played really well on it. Just the disappointment for me is that we started how we would wish we could start. We started it full of confidence, believing that we could get a result here today, but it didn't sort of materialise into anything. all that happened was a sort of Man City got their game going and got it going really, really well. I mean, Pep Guardiola sort of praised him a lot before the game, but I think what he's sort of ended up where he's gone wrong this season has been playing too many players out of position. Well, today you could only say that there are only 2 players in the team that are in what you would call secondary position. Vardiel is one, but he can really play that second position well. The only one is Nunes, who's definitely not a right back, and on a normal day I think that would be a real sort of problem to Man City, because I don't think he's doing that job very well. But for me, it's the threesome of Gundogan, Kovacic and De Bruyne. Kovacic is the one that sits, and the other 2 are sort of more in a more advanced position, and we have not come to grips with that threesome at all, because they've got 2 that are trying to play advanced, if you like. It is occupying Cajuste and Morsi in very defensive roles, and Kovacic, who is not being picked up by Clark and he's not being picked up by Amari Hutchinson. They're sort of both almost saying, well, we've been asked to play in a hole here, but nobody's actually said we've got to go and pick him up. So Kovacic is the one that it's going through all the time. He then releases either Gundogan or De Bruyne, and then they're in business, and then they can bring in play Foden, Haaland, Doku. But it all, for me, is going into that section where we've got 4 players in there, they've got 3, but 2 of our 4 are not particularly doing anything defensively, and that's why you're getting mountains of attacks from Man City against us, and they are looking good. We're looking very vulnerable. So, I'm not sure what Kieran can do. Will he sort of recognise the shortness in midfield for us and maybe, take one defender off the pitch and give us another midfield player? Certainly we've got to try something, because we weren't at the start of the first 15 minutes of the game. I thought it was a lovely end-to-end game, both teams playing how they would want to play, but Man City were the team that actually kept going, and once they started scoring goals, then it was almost beyond us. We look as if we're worried now. We looked as if we needed the half-time team talk. We're going to be having that now. It'll be interesting to see what Kieran does.
Manchester City just too good for Ipswich Town in that first half, and they've taken a 3-0 lead down the tunnel.
We'll be back with Mick Mills and Brenna Woolley for the second half on BBC Radio Suffolk. 3 other games in the Premier League today. Nottingham Forest level on points with Arsenal once again after a 3-2 win at home to Southampton. At Old Trafford, another win for Brighton, 3-1 at Manchester United, and 3 points for Everton this afternoon. First win since David Moyes took over as manager at Goodison Park once again. They held on in the end to beat Tottenham 3-2, having led 3-0. Reaction from all 3 of those. And if we've time, more from Ipswich Women's Basketball National Cup victory at the Performance Centre in Manchester this afternoon during our half-time report.
Sarah Lilly.
All reunited, and this is where 2025 really gets underway. Manifesting. Do you know what it means?
Got an idea.
Yeah, I've got an idea. I think it's somehow telling yourself that something you really want is going to happen.
It's like fast forwarding in your mind, and you make it real by visualising it.
Producer Johnny, why are you shaking your head?
I'm talking about fashion. You've got a new hairdo. You put your headphones on and sort of bouffoned your hair. Oh, it suits you, love.
Does it? I can see in the reflection. Oh, it's nice. It's like a big quiff.
Yeah.
Sarah Lilly, weekdays 10 till 2 on BBC Radio Suffolk and BBC Sounds.
It's gone 20 past 5 with Match Day. Ipswich Town 0, Manchester City 3. I'm afraid if you just joined us in our full match commentary, second half on the way shortly. This from Trevor. We started the game well, but as soon as the first goal goes in, game over. We have to close them down, or it could be embarrassing. If you want to get in touch with the programme, you can drop us a text. 81333 is the number. It's 08000 321 333 on WhatsApp. Start your messages with SFK. I mentioned earlier that 3 Premier League games kicked off at 2 o'clock today. Everton Everton held on against Tottenham to win 3-2, having led 3-0 at Goodison Park. They now have a 4-point gap to Wolves and Ipswich Town below them. First win for Everton as well since the return of David Moyes as manager.
It feels fantastic because, it's felt relatively difficult the week coming in, fast. 2 games, Aston Villa and Tottenham, were difficult opponents, both of them. We didn't do too bad in midweek, but we just couldn't quite get there. But today we done a really good job, first half especially. We scored 3, maybe could have scored a couple more. And then it was a case of, could we go and get the 4th goal before they made it 3-1, and we did have a chance to get a 4th, we didn't quite get it. But when they get the 1, it was a little bit scary, I've got to say, even the last 5 or 6 minutes.
So Everton scored a 6th of their Premier League goals this season so far in one afternoon today at Goodison Park. For Spurs and manager Ange Postecoglou, that's a 4th straight league defeat. In fact, they've lost 6 of a winless last 7 in the Premier League.
Yeah, look, it's obviously another disappointing result for us, and obviously it's the first half we didn't really have any control of the game in terms of maintaining some shape and organisation, and that's a bit on me because obviously we had to change the team a fair bit today in our sort of structure, and Everton capitalised on it, and we gave ourselves a sort of mountain to climb, but to be fair to the players, they kept going, and unfortunately just fell short at the end.
You say it was on you, Ange. Would you do anything differently if you could play the game again?
In the context of what we have available at the moment, there wasn't much we could do, to be honest. We had to sort of try and fit 11 fit players in the team. Richie was good when he came on, but we couldn't start with him, and like I said, he literally left us with 11 fit players. So I tried to sort of come up with something that will hopefully steer us through that, but it didn't work.
You spent quite a lot of time at the end of the game, as the players did, over towards the fans who travelled, thanking them. I was just wondering kind of what that message coming from them was like towards you, and how you feel about that.
Look, they're disappointed. They've got every right to be disappointed, and you've got to accept that. You've got to accept the fact that right now the responsibility sort of lies. Responsibility lies with me, and you have to accept the fact that what we're delivering at the moment is not good enough, and the supporters are still sticking by us, which is important, and we've got to get through this.
So Tottenham beaten, Manchester United beaten. Ruben Amorim's side levelled up against Brighton at Old Trafford through a Ruben Fernandes penalty, but conceded 2 in the second half to lose 3-1.
Similar for other games, we suffer some goals that we shouldn't suffer. Then it's really hard to have possession because we are really anxious. We try to build up, to have patience, but then it's really hard. We managed to score again the draw, but then second half the same thing, and when we suffer goals like that, things are really hard to turn things around. And then but we have to understand the moment, but also understand that it's not acceptable to lose so many games in Premier League, especially if you are in Manchester United. No matter the situation, no matter the moment, this should not be acceptable.
Ruben Amorim, after Man United 1, Brighton 3. Back-to-back wins now then for Fabian Hürzeler's side, back up to 9th in the table.
I'm very happy and proud for the team because they show commitment this week. They had a tough period where they showed great performances but didn't get the result what they deserve, and today they completely get what they deserve. They worked hard, they did the details right, the small margins to win a game here, and therefore I'm really proud and happy for them.
A win at Manchester United, well, it's happened now for Brighton for 3 years in a row. It had never happened before then. So the fans are loving it, yet you stay so level about it, so grounded. Is it just a 3 points the same as any other?
Of course, it's a very big club, big tradition, and Manchester United was always a club you followed during my player career, but also now as a coach. But in the end, for me, it's so important to stay humble, to stay grounded, because I also had now the bad period where we suffered, and I know how fast it can go in the other direction in football, and that's for me it's so important to get consistency now in the performances, to get consistency also in the results, and you only get it by working hard and by staying grounded and keep working.
The Brighton boss Fabian Hürzeler. We can also hear from the Nottingham Forest manager Nuno Espirito Santo. Another win for his side today, 3-2 at home to Southampton. They had led 3-0 at half-time. The result moves them back level on points with second in the table Arsenal. We keep saying it. What a season at the City Ground.
I think we go really well in the game. We break them, we create a lot of problems, and we achieve 3 goals. It's a comfortable score at half time. The second half we started really well. We controlled the game, possession, chances, and then a deflection, and more than anything the stoppage of the game. Too much interruption due to VAR, due to injury, and the game didn't flow. That was not help us.
I know you don't want to talk about titles, qualifying for Europe, but is that maybe an example that some of your players are feeling a little bit of pressure, that you're in such good form, they want to maintain those high standards, and a little wobble here today?
No, I'm not sure. I'm not sure about what you say. I think you have to give credit to your opponent. The team that is in the halftime 3-0 down, and we have this reaction. We have to credit them.
And finally, you can always talk about all of your players. You're very strong on a team emphasis, but Elliot Anderson getting his first goal for the club, a very young player as well, but developing at a very good rate.
Yeah, definitely. I think Elliot is doing amazing, and today he achieved a beautiful goal, something that he does really nice. He has a nice kick, but more than that is the work, the balance, the organisation, the fighting, and everything that he gives to the team.
Nuno Espirito Santo after Forest 3, Southampton 2 earlier today. And our main feature on BBC Radio Suffolk this afternoon, it's half-time at Portman Road. Ipswich Town trailing Manchester City by 3-0. We'll be back with the second half very shortly. Around an hour before kick-off in our main feature today, Ipswich women's basketball players lifted the National Cup for a third time, defending the title they won for the second time a year ago. The Suffolk side crushed WNBL rivals Brent Bulls at the National Performance Centre in Manchester by 81 points to 53. We heard from Captain Harriet Wellham earlier in the programme, who was named MVP in a National Cup final for the third time in her stellar career in the sport. Let's hear now from head coach Nick Drain. His winning machine at Copleston marches on.
It's the best we've played all season, and it's a good day to play that well for sure.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it was an amazing win, quite a large margin. Obviously, when you played Brent, as we spoke earlier, when you played Brent in the league, you guys lost by 4 points. Today you came back, you just turned the game around completely. I mean, you beat them by quite a large margin. How were you able to do that? What was the plan going into the game?
Well, I think that you can kind of overemphasise what plans were and game plans. We played very, very well. Our players are a young team, with the exception of 3 senior players who are still young. So they're developing all the time. They're in an academy environment, so they play and train every day. So it stands to reason that if we're doing our jobs properly, that they're going to get better as the season goes on. When we played Brent earlier in the season, they certainly outplayed us. And we're really pleased that we've got the job done today.
So how important is it for those young players to get an opportunity to play in a game like this?
It's absolutely massive, because playing in your own age group while is great for development and great. You get to play with your friends, and you get to play against some friends in some cases. Obviously, playing against adults that are seasoned veteran players that have played at a very high level really prepares you for what they're going to do when they leave us.
Yeah, have you got any final thoughts on the win?
Just really, really proud of my team. You can overemphasise the influence coaching has. The players are on the court. They're the ones that do it. They need all the credit. The coaching and on the sidelines is just a lot of hot air a lot of the time. It's the players, and they're phenomenal.
Nick Drain speaking to Basketball England's YouTube channel after his Ipswich women's side won a third National Cup this afternoon. Superb stuff from the Copleston crew. And if you missed Captain Harriet Wellham early in the programme, we'll bring you her before we are off air at 8 o'clock tonight. Back to Portman Road we go. Second half about to get underway, with Ipswich Town trailing Manchester City by 3-0.
Town out in front of us, ready for the second half, but no sign of Manchester City just yet. Town look as if they are unchanged from the team that started this 4:30 kickoff, which means that Walton will be in goal. He's certainly out there. Back three of Godfrey on his league debut, O'Shea and Burgess, Johnson and Davis are the wing-backs, Morsey and Kiyuste patrolling the midfield, and it's Delap up top with support from Hutchinson and Jack Clark. On the bench, Murrich, Hurst, Broadhead, Burns, Taylor, Philogene, Townsend, Twanzebe and Luongo. Still no sign of Manchester City. Their goalkeeper is Edison. The back four, Nunez, Akanji, Diaz and Gvardiol. Then you've got a goal scorer, Kovacic, alongside Gundogan. Phil Foden has got 2 of their goals. He's part of the attacking lineup alongside De Bruyne, the captain, and Doku. And then their leading light up top is Erling Haaland, who had that really good chance when he went clear. The flag stayed down correctly at 0-0, but Christian Walton was more than able to keep it out. It was a good stop from Walton, actually. On the bench, Ortega's their sub-keeper. Grealish, Silva, Savinho, Mabama, who scored a goal against Salford in the Cup, as did O'Reilly. Both lads have come through. O'Reilly's come through the academy. Actually, Mabama was a West Ham player until last summer. Lewis, McAtee and Alain. Everybody's still waiting for City to arrive. Just looking at the tunnel shots actually now, they are about to appear. Ipswich Town just knocking the ball around inside their half off to our right. Had a chuckle when their fans were chanting in that first half towards Ipswich Town, or just banter, of course. You're going down with United. Another defeat for Manchester United at home to Brighton in one of the earlier games in the Premier League today. The other news from earlier on, Everton beating Spurs, and Nottingham Forest another win at home to surely soon to be relegated Southampton. Out comes City, getting a bit of grief from the home supporters, annoyed by their tardiness. So disappointed that Kieran McKenna hasn't made any changes, Mick Mills. What's your summary of the inactivity this last 15 minutes or so?
Yeah, I think so, because I just, sometimes, you can have some well-chosen words and you can just make 1 or 2 sort of slight adjustments to bring a game back to where you want to bring it back to. But we're sort of, we're second best by a long way at the moment, and I just thought that maybe we had, 1 too many defenders on the pitch today and not enough midfield players. So.
The referee seems to be waiting. All 22 players are out there. He could get this game underway for me. He's just waiting for the massive entourage that City bring with them. Goodness knows how many coach loads they bring down to Suffolk for a game like this to make their way back towards the bench. Don't know how they all fitted in the away dressing. There must be about 50 or 60 of them. Anyway, play belatedly underway for this second half. City with that 3-0 half-time advantage. Akanji heads the ball down, cleared away by Gundogan up towards halfway, and Haaland. Kayuste with a touch to Morsey. Morsey's safety first off the outside of his right boot, goes a long way back to Walton, but it's the right thing to do under pressure from a couple of claret shirts. Yeah, City and all claret this afternoon up against the blue-white-blue of Ipswich. Here come Manchester City early in the second half, trying to make it 4-0. De Bruyne inside the area, into the middle, goes towards, well, it was either Haaland or Foden. In the way was Kayuste, and the ball is now out behind off a City player for a Walton goal kick.
Yeah, that's the position that De Bruyne seems to be able to ghost into. He's sort of caused an awful lot of danger just going into the sort of an inside left position, the right-hand side of our penalty area. And again, he's made that same run into that sort of situation, sort of within seconds of the half starting.
Town's worst defeat so far this season was the 4-0 home loss to Newcastle United. The last 2 games between these two sides have actually ended up 4-1 to City. There was an FA Cup tie here in the early 2000s that they won. I think that was on a Sunday afternoon as well, if memory serves, but they certainly beat Town 4-1 at the Etihad second week of this season. Here is Delap on this near side for Ipswich Town. Tripped by Akanji, who went all the way with him deep inside Ipswich Town's half of the field. This would be a 10th game without a goal from open play for Liam Delap. Others do need to chip in. Such a weight on his young shoulders to get the goals for Ipswich Town this season. So I'm sure he's happy to deal with that pressure and that responsibility. But yeah, his last goal from open play was the win at Tottenham. Here is Walton. Gives the ball out to his left back Davis, or at least into that area. It was Burgess who laid off a terrible pass nowhere near Davis, and it's going to be a throw-in that Nunez will take. As the TV camera zoom in on Ben Godfrey, what a game for him to make his league debut in for his new loan club. Nunez with a throw towards Haaland. Gundogan tries to help it onto the Norwegian. touched away by O'Shea, controlled by Hutchinson. In goes Kovacic, foul on the Ipswich Town number 20. There's an apology then by Gvardiol. Free kick to Ipswich as Kieran McKenna studiously hands in pockets, watches on. We'll hear from him before we are off air after this match. Hopefully catch up with an Ipswich Town player as well after this one. Here is Godfrey, back to O'Shea, closed down by Haaland. Godfrey gives it back to Walton. A little bit of time, but not too much. He gives it to Burgess, to Davis. Davis down the line to Clark. Clark turns on to Delap. Good play by Town. They've got to halfway. Delap gets away from Diaz with a nice little shuffle. He's still got it. Coming in field, gives it to Hutchinson. Johnson's in space. Johnson inside the Manchester City area. What a chance! Saved by Edison! And then almost he lost it as Delap was sniffing around, but Edison's got his hands back on the ball. But what a chance for Ben Johnson to make it 3-1.
Yeah, this was wonderful play down our left-hand side. Starts with Burgess, goes through Leif Davis, and we sort of slowly worked it right the way through our left side as it goes to Liam Delap. He goes on one of his cross-field surges, and for once he actually sort of does give the ball to a free player on his right-hand side, and that was a good opportunity to get back in the game.
He actually fumbled it against the knee of his defender, Edison. He got lucky in the end. Doku for Manchester City inside the Ipswich area. Still Doku! 4-0. Clinical finish from the flying Belgian. And 4 minutes into the second half, City have a 4-goal advantage, and the fear is that it could get a lot worse. They are running rise at Portman Road. Ipswich Town 0, Manchester City 4. They're moving up to 4th in the table.
Well, we should have scored the other end, and they've now come down and scored there. I think it's taken a massive deflection, to be quite honest. I'm not sure who off, but he's come inside again, Doku. You know, he does that nearly all the time, and we're not sort of getting used to it. We're not trying to stop it. It's gone right off Dara O'Shea's left foot, I think, and flown in the net off his right foot. But the biggest problem is we know he's going to go inside. You know, we've got to either have the man with him has got to stay with him and get a block in, or we've got to have a defender on the inside of the guy that he's taking on, and so he can just take him. You know, but every time comes inside.
They scored 8 last weekend. They're surely not going to do that here this afternoon. That was against Salford in the FA Cup. The TV cameras zoom in on a rather sombre-looking Mark Ashton and his mate Ed Sheeran in the director's box. Morsey in the centre of the field, back to O'Shea. He gives it out to the far side, and Godfrey. This equals Ipswich Town's worst defeat of the season so far. And just as Mick was saying in summary there, just seconds after Ipswich Town had a chance to make it 3-1. Gundogan goes back to Diaz. Diaz up to the halfway line, bounces off the knee of Godfrey. De Bruyne heads it to Doku. City certainly looking for more goals. They want to boost their goal difference, which wasn't as exceptional as it tends to be around this time of the season, for obvious reasons. That poor run they had earlier on, but they've been... Well, they've looked very, very sharp, very good this afternoon. They've got players that will come off the bench and want to make an impression, like Savinho, like Bernardo Silva, Grealish, Diaz. Grealish, one of the few players in the City squad that have played here in the past in his time with Aston Villa. Nunez back towards Diaz. Fairly comfortable return to the side for him, because Kanji's tended to look after Delap. It's been a nice game for Diaz to get reintegrated to the side. Gvardiol, who's had a good game, now with Gundogan. 6.5 gone in the second half. Gvardiol still has the ball for City. They're pinging it around in front of Ipswich Town. A real urgency to get at Ipswich Town momentarily, just taking a bit of a breather. Here is Doku. That was his 6th goal of the season, but as Mick said, it took a big deflection off Dara O'Shea. Belgium will still be credited with it. You're going down with United as the chant again from the City fans. Gundogan, he's got runners in front of him, but also plenty blue shirts. He's held on to it. Gundogan, now 34 years of age. Gundogan is an ageing City squad. Kovacic plays it square. Another one who's reached his 30th birthday. Nunez on the right. Town just chasing shadows at the moment. City now come forward. Gundogan ball into the box to De Bruyne by the byline, crosses to the far post, headed away by Johnson, not very far, brought down by Doku, belted by Johnson against potentially the hand or arm of Doku. The referee says play on. Doku still has the ball over in the far right corner by the giant screen. He pulls it back to Gundogan. Gundogan leaves it for Kovacic, poked away by Kayuste. Town can't get a hold of the ball now for more than the odd touch now and again. Gvardiol spotted the run of Doku. Doku's a massive test for Ben Johnson. Live on BBC Radio Suffolk Sport. Manchester City lead Ipswich Town by 4-0. Town back in action on Saturday away to Liverpool. Your thoughts welcome after this one. 0800 141 2121 is the phone number. I'll give you the text and other details in a moment. Here comes City. Foden, little ball into the box, should be dealt with by Godfrey. Haaland is trying to play it off of him, which he manages to do. Corner kick to City. Yeah, the text number 81333. Start that message SFK. WhatsApp 08000 321 333. Again, start that with SFK. And if you want to get in touch with me ahead of the Blue Hour tomorrow night, back on air between 6 and 7 tomorrow evening, talking all things Ipswich Town. The email is brenner@bbc.co.uk, BRENNER @bbc.co.uk. I look forward to hearing from you between 6 and 7 tomorrow night. Talking about, sadly, what I think we already know is another Ipswich Town defeat. Corner kick, which De Bruyne, the Manchester City captain, is going to be taking. They're not letting Ipswich Town off the hook. It's in low. It's a terrible one. Dealt with by Burgess. Cleared up to the halfway line. Nunez is there. He gives it back to Ederson. Just a chance for him to remind us that he's out there, really, Ederson. Nunez again, just in front of him. In the 55th minute. Manchester City have it with Kovacic on halfway. Gvardiol crossing the halfway line, far side. Back to Kovacic. It was 63%, 37% in terms of the half-time possession for Manchester City. 323 passes they made compared to 185 by Ipswich Town. Here is Akanji. Going back to Diaz, Delap's closing him down. Goes square to Ederson outside of his area. No one in the penalty area off to our left. Akanji up towards Nunez. Gives it to Foden underneath us, the number 47, to De Bruyne. De Bruyne on towards Nunez. Hasn't got the pace to get on it. Just too much on that from De Bruyne. Goal kick.
But they worked it really nicely. You know, they were in complete comfort on the ball and the movement was good. That pass of De Bruyne was woefully overhit. It was a decent run by Nunez as well, you know, and had the pass have been as good as the run, then we would have been in trouble again.
Only Southampton have scored fewer home goals than Ipswich Town so far. Not necessarily talking about today, but Town's home form has to improve. They've got to get more wins here of the remaining games. Burgess, he took an almighty chance. I thought he passed it straight to De Bruyne in his area. It just reached Morsey. City then give it back to Walton. Oh wow, that was a heart-stopping moment from Cameron Burgess. Walton.
Very much so, but we actually came out of it really well, but it was a bit scary.
Yeah, understatement of the afternoon. Here comes Burgess. Folded his ball to halfway, dealt with by Nunez. I wonder when we're going to see Philogene. Davis robs Foden, well played. Clark on halfway. Going on a bit of a mazy dribble inside his own half. Given away by Clark straight to Doku. That was terrible. Doku to Haaland. Haaland makes it 5-0. Jack Clark. An awful moment from him. City don't need Ipswich Town players to create goals for them. They can do that on their own. And Haaland is on the score sheet. It's his fourth against Ipswich Town this season. And it puts Manchester City 5-0 up.
Awful play. You know, he had loads of options around him on this side of the pitch. And for some reason, he wanted to go across the pitch and then to try that pass, you know. Because there was no future. He's just left behind a quartet of blue shirts just to try and get the ball across the pitch to a lone blue shirt. You know, it was a poor decision, poor execution as well.
Yeah, it was as well. Well, I talked about Manchester City winning 8-0 last weekend and kind of thought, well, that's not going to happen this afternoon. But now you've got to be a little bit worried. We're still a couple of minutes shy of the hour mark. That I don't get the impression they're going to settle for this. It's 5-0 Manchester City. What we always feared could have happened is actually happening here this afternoon. If City were up for it on their game, the quality in their team, it was always the case that they could come here and absolutely batter Ipswich Town. Clark. But you have to feel sorry for Ipswich. I mean, goodness me. There is O'Shea, still trying to play their football. What a test of character this is. Morsey turns into trouble. Here comes City again. It's 3-on-3. De Bruyne to Haaland. Haaland inside the area. He has Doku there. Doku still has the ball. Goes back to Haaland. Saved by Walton. Comes out as far as De Bruyne. It's deflected onto the roof of the net. Oh, that was so close to 6-0.
Yeah, we're just sort of giving the ball away sort of in silly areas, and they're just... You know, you said just earlier on, you know, they don't need any help to play well and to score goals, and unfortunately this half we're beginning to give them the opportunity rather than working it.
Wow, they are so frightening when they get on the ball and they pile forward. Different level completely to what we've seen most of the season. De Bruyne with a cross to the middle, punched away by Walton. Out to this right-hand side. It's Kayuste. It's come off his head for a corner kick. I must admit I did predict pre-match that could be a post-match Sam Morsey interview, and I'm thinking it's kind of heading in that direction. We might well hear from the skipper after this one. 5-0 Manchester City, but they almost got to 6 before the hour mark. Foden with a corner kick pulls it back to Gundogan. Now Foden outside the area. Doku, I think he fancies another goal in this game. Wants to try and get away from Clark. I felt really sorry for Jack Clark. Poor lad pulled his shirt up over his face. He was mortified there. Did that against totally the wrong team, bless him. Gundogan towards Foden. Back to De Bruyne. Just hoping that Guardiola's maybe thinking about making some changes. Yeah, Mubama's coming on. Grealish is coming on. Akanji to the right and Nunez. That will hopefully stop their rhythm. Just resting players ahead of that massive game against Paris Saint-Germain in the week. Totally understandable, this from Guardiola. To the right-hand side, Doku has it outside the Ipswich Town area. Wants to take on Clark. Well done, Clark. I'd really like him to do something positive now. Given away, though, by Clark to Foden. Foden going square, just couldn't get a ball forward now. City do get it between the lines. Given away by Guardiola. Straight to Clark. Onto the left-hand side, Delap's going to be a triple change for City. Delap's running it down this touchline, might need support. Davis has made a run. Delap's found him. Excellent play that by Delap. Good run from Davis. Davis has it outside the Manchester City area. Town's worst defeat of the season so far. This one, Kayuste goes square to Godfrey. Far side is Ben Johnson. Johnson still has the ball. Gives it to Hutchinson in front of the cobbled stand. Skips away from Guardiola. He's hardly had the ball in this second half. Amari Hutchinson turns away from De Bruyne, gives it to Johnson, gets it back. Lovely play from those two. In comes the shot towards the near post from Hutchinson, trying to catch Edison out. Edison spilt it, and it's going to be a corner to Ipswich.
I'll tell you what, and he nearly caught him out as well. That looked, you know, as if he was definitely just going to cut it back with his right foot, but then he just sort of hit it hard towards the near post and definitely nearly caught the goalkeeper out.
Needs must. Twanzebe and Luongo coming on for Ipswich Town. Really is damage limitation in terms of those changes. Town have a corner kick. Can they get a consolation goal against Manchester City? Leif Davis to deliver it into our left-hand side. Volleyed away by De Bruyne. Out far side it goes. Yeah, it's Grealish, McAtee and Mubama who are coming on for City. All of them scored in that win over Salford last weekend. It's Jack Grealish's only goal of the season so far. Hasn't scored in the Premier League for a long time, the England international. Mubama, a young striker, who, as I said earlier on, actually came from West Ham. Had Premier League experience playing for West Ham, so he knows Ben Johnson very well. And McAtee's a really gifted young midfielder. Got a hat-trick in the FA Cup. Triple change for Town. Philogene is coming on as well. First of all, the changes are going to be for City. No hat-trick for Phil Foden. He's gone off to be replaced by Jack Grealish. That's not a bad change, is it? The other change, Haaland is going off. I thought he might now. He's got his goal. No second hat-trick for him against Ipswich. He's needed against Paris Saint-Germain in the week. So Haaland goes off. Mubama, number 67, comes on. Nice position of luxury for Guardiola. And the other change sees De Bruyne go off, and he'll be replaced by McAtee. So 3 very good players going off. 1 good player coming on, 2 young talents coming on for City. So yeah, Philogene is ready to come on for Town, although it's just got Jayden on the back of his shirt and the number 29. Luongo is coming on for Jack Clark. Hopefully getting a warm round of applause, Jack Clark. But we're really sorry for him. Didn't get the opportunity really to do something good. Kieran McKenna gives him a warm hand and a pat on the back. Kayuste is coming off, so Philogene is coming on for Clark. Luongo replaces Kayuste, and Twanzebe is going to be coming on as well, back sooner than maybe we expected. The board will eventually tell us that it's Ben Godfrey who makes way. Real baptism of fire, his Premier League debut for Ipswich Town. Still, we've played 19 minutes in this second half. Gives me another chance to give you those numbers. Post-match, have a chat to Graham and Mick on 0800 141 2121. Text 81333, start those messages SFK, or WhatsApp 0800321 333. Again, start those SFK. Email me ahead of the Blue Hour tomorrow night, brenner@bbc.co.uk. Throw in, which Gvardiol is taken over on the far side. Gets it back from Kovacic. Now Grealish, he's playing over on that left-hand side. Doku switched to the right underneath us, so Doku gets a chance to test Leif Davis in the remainder of this game. Of course, these players that have come on will be hungry to prove a point. Mubama's yet to score his first Premier League goal. Grealish and McAtee will want more minutes than they've had this season. Ederson out to the left, and Gvardiol infield to Kovacic. Up to the halfway line goes the Croatian. Gives it to McAtee. McAtee, who's been on loan at Sheffield United the last 2 seasons. Very talented England under-21 midfielder. Has been linked with a potential permanent move away from City this window. But Guardiola said there's no rush to see the back of him, McAtee. Mubama trying to get involved, wants the ball. Instead it's with Nunez. Ben Godfrey finally makes his way around back to the home dugout down below us. 25 to go. Guess there's a chance this one might fizzle out into something of a non-event. Gvardiol to Diaz. Diaz then goes back to Ederson. Of course, we'll start the build-up properly to that game at Liverpool next Saturday on the matchday preview with Graham between 6 and 7 on Friday night. John Walk will be on the programme as ever, obviously warmly remembered at both of those clubs. Grealish for Manchester City gets inside the Ipswich Town area, gives the ball via Gundogan to Kovacic. Gundogan and Kovacic play a little bit keep ball for eventually inviting Akanji to join their gang. Now Doku on the right hand side to Nunez overlapping. Nunez tries to get into the area, comes off Burgess, corner kick City.
Well, this is extremely difficult for Town, to do anything at all, even sort of to feel as if you can do anything. The scoreline, already is sort of way beyond them, and you're just watching one team keep the ball, just absolutely enjoying the afternoon. It's so difficult for the Town players now.
Yeah, very, very difficult. We knew the likelihood was that we'd have days like this when Town were promoted in the summer, particularly having come so far in such a short space of time. We're facing world-class elite players, being guided by arguably the greatest manager of all time. Little break before this corner kick can be taken. The referee wants to sort out something between Leif Davis and Manuel Akanji. Still a quarter of this match to go. McAtee just on the field with this corner kick for Manchester City. It's his first involvement. Into the middle it comes, double-fisted away by Walton from right under his bar. City trying to recycle it just outside their area. Grealish, the number 10, hooks it over his head to the edge of the box. Nodded down by Morsey to Mabama. His shot on the spin is charged down by Burgess. Now back to Grealish. Here is Gvardiol, Akanji, Kovacic to Nunez, playing as pretty much an orthodox midfielder momentarily rather than the right back that he's been for most of this game. That's part of his brief, to get involved when he can. Now it's with Akanji once again. Doku near side, jinks in field, gives it to McAtee, tries to get it back, in goes Burgess, won by Gundogan. It's an absolute nightmare for Town. Gundogan takes it away from Hutchinson. It's a lovely footballer, Gundogan. He now finds Gvardiol to his left-hand side, hugging the far touchline. Grealish, the ball comes back in field though to Kovacic. McAtee's making a run. McAtee makes it 6. The ball dinked into the Ipswich Town area, and the floated header beyond McAtee, who's just come off the bench, scored a hat-trick last week in the FA Cup, gets his first league goal of the season, and just twists the knife that little bit more. The scoreboard is painful reading over in the far right corner, next to the joyous City fans. Ipswich Town 0, Manchester City 6.
It's an amazing pass by Kovacic, it really was. I mean, he's just lifted the ball over the Town defence. It's a dream ball for any striker. The run is good, but the pass is absolutely amazing.
Simple little header, lovely little floated one, clearly onside. And there you go, just watching it on replay. Nothing poor old Christian Walton could do. 24 minutes played. That's almost as painful when I look at my stopwatch as when I look at the scoreboard. We've still got 21 minutes to go. Taylor, Hurst, I thought there was one other, but no, just those two about to come on for Ipswich Town as the TV cameras zoom in on Erling Haaland up on his feet, celebrating that goal from the bench. Burgess to Davis. Davis trying to get away from McAtee, nudge to the floor. So yeah, more changes from the City bench as well. Rico Lewis, an England international, can play right back, left back or midfield. He's coming on, and fellow academy product Nico O'Reilly, the Manchester boy through and through. Oh, given away by Davis, straight to Mabama. In will slide Luongo. Oh, the ball reaches Diaz on halfway. Hurst and Taylor having a good word with one another on this near side. Now Kovacic floats the ball over the top of Hutchinson, totally dominant in that midfield area. Kovacic, Gundogan and De Bruyne. Well, this is just what City needed to blow away the cobwebs after dropping points against Brentford in the week. McAtee to Grealish. Grealish goes back to Diaz. Well, they only needed to win this game by 3 to go up to 4th in the table. They've gone way beyond that tally. Live on BBC Radio Suffolk Sport. Big defeat for Kieran McKenna's Ipswich Town. Diaz to Kovacic. Kovacic gets away from Hutchinson, gives it to Gundogan. Totally different level those two have been on. Back
I think Kovacic has been, for me, somebody who I didn't sort of know so well. I mean, he's been possibly their best player today.
Yeah. As I said earlier on, he did win the Champions League 3 times with Real Madrid, so he's got to have something about him, but I agree. He was one of those players I thought really looking forward to seeing him in action, but he has been exceptional. Every bit as good as his CV would suggest. Davis runs into traffic. Nunez comes away with the ball for Manchester City. Lots to do. He's still holding off a few Ipswich Town players, and then eventually they went 4-on-1 and they stopped him. Fellagy, one of those involved. Here come the changes. First of all, for Manchester City, Kovacic, who we're just praising, has had a fabulous game. He's going to be a starter in the Champions League in the week. He's going to go off, and the other Manchester City player going off is Akanji. So a bit of a change in some way, shape or form, because Lewis is a full-back and O'Reilly's a midfielder. Gvardiol's just going to go at centre-half. Yeah, Gvardiol and Diaz at centre-half. Lewis has gone to left-back. Hutchinson comes off to be replaced by Taylor. And the other alteration is Delap, so 10 games without a goal from open play for Ipswich Town for Liam Delap. George Hurst is going to be coming on for the remainder of this game. So positives, I guess, from this week. Seeing the likes of Hurst and Twanzebe back from their injuries. But it's another defeat for Ipswich Town. Here is Mateus Nunes. Philogene trying to get involved for the first time in terms of having possession of the ball. Down the line it goes. In goes Burgess at the expense of Doku. How to play for a throw. And Kieran McKenna's thoughts to come after full time. I'm sure he'll be as honest and straight as ever. We'll hopefully hear from an Ipswich Town player as well on match day. Edison inside his area, goes to the right hand side, and Diaz, 17 to go. Gundogan back to Edison. Edison left footed, spreads play out to the far side, and Lewis, who's a technically very good player. Gundogan available inside his area. He's been a lovely watch as well this afternoon, Gundogan. Edison. Nice straightforward afternoon for him to return between the posts for Manchester City.
Yeah, that's where I think they've been really impressive. Even when there was a game on, you know, that was Kovacic, De Bruyne and Gundogan, you know. Those three have absolutely bossed that centre of midfield, and we found it really difficult in there.
Totally. We saw a good three when Newcastle were here not that long ago, but these three have been equally good this afternoon. Here is Gundogan getting into the centre circle, bypasses O'Reilly. Lewis to Grealish. Grealish goes back to Lewis. So Jack Grealish, a different sort of player to the one that used to love to run with the ball when he was last here with Aston Villa. He's changed his style of play quite a bit under Pep Guardiola. Nunes infield. Philogene sniffing around him. Philogene's kind of playing to the left of Hurst. Taylor sort of off to the right as the two support players. O'Reilly, the number 75, on his back. Crossfield ball by Diaz, headed back by Johnson to his goalkeeper. Walton used to captain the under-18s at City. O'Reilly, tall lad in midfield. Johnson can't go forward, held up by Grealish, goes back to his goalkeeper Walton. Walton gives it to Twanzebe. Twanzebe plays it off of Grealish. They played together at Aston Villa, Axel Twanzebe and Jack Grealish. They're now up against each other far side. Throwaway given away by Ipswich Town, straight to Gundogan. Not on a threatening position just yet. Live on BBC Radio Suffolk Sport. Town being taught a lesson in the Premier League. Lewis to Diaz. Now Doku. Thought he might have made way for Savinho at some stage. Doku, good run from him. Infield to O'Reilly. O'Reilly shoots very ambitiously from a distance out. Plenty power on it, but was not really going to trouble Walton. Philogene back towards the right corner flag. The corner flag off to our right, should I say. Hurst tries to get on the ball. He can't. Gvardiol at centre half, which is where he tended to play. He actually played against Ipswich Town a couple of pre-seasons ago for RB Leipzig. George Hurst scored in that game against Josko Gvardiol's side before he made the move to Manchester City. Nunes finds Diaz at 14 to go. Doku finds Diaz. City have worked it inside their own half now. Gundogan to Gvardiol. Very popular signing when he returned to the Etihad at the start of the season. Gundogan, that's when Foden was out of the team, and of course there's been no Rodri for 99% of this campaign, so it was a timely return from Spanish football for Gundogan. Diaz gets to halfway, goes up the middle towards Mubama, headed down by Twanzebe. Morsey's in the way. Back to Burgess. Burgess passes it out to Philogene. Nunez has a little nibble at him. Philogene's done well. He's found Johnson. Davis is on his bike far side. Johnson spots the run. Perfect ball from Johnson. Lovely control from Davis inside the Manchester City area. Pulls it back to Hurst outside the area. Comes to Morsey. The crowd want him to shoot. Instead, he gives it to Luongo. Might as well have had a dip from there, really, for me. But Town have held on to it. That was really good play from Ipswich from nowhere. Burgess to the left and Leif Davis. Infield to Luongo. Here is Burgess. Burgess back to Davis on the left-hand side. Overlapping is Philogene outside the Manchester City area. Philogene still has the ball. Little ball threaded through a gap to Luongo. Good play from Town. They're passing it around outside the City area. Philogene, who started against Bayern Munich in the Champions League this season for Villa. Morsey gets into the City area. Not for long. It comes back out again. Philogene to O'Shea. Burgess gets the ball. O'Shea immediately tells him to play it onto the left in the chest of Davis. Davis wants to get away from Nunez. He goes down. The referee says free kick.
Nice little bit of play. Thank goodness for that. You know, we've had to sort of really endure an awful lot in this half so far, and that was nice just to see, and a lot of it came through Leif Davis. His control in the first attack that he had was excellent, got him into a good position, and then again he sort of controlled the ball nicely there to give himself an advantage and to win a free kick, which is in a fairly dangerous position.
Yeah, free kick to Ipswich Town in the right back berth outside the Manchester City penalty area. Would be lovely for Ipswich Town to get on the score sheet here this afternoon. The points have long gone. City home and hosed. But these fans deserve at least one little positive from this cold January afternoon. Johnson is on the set piece. His corner kicks have been all right so far. What's it like? Decent. It's into the middle. Headed away as far as Morsey. Sets himself. Has a go into the crowd. Comes to Luongo in the D. He recycles it out to O'Shea. O'Shea crosses into the box. Headed away by O'Reilly. As far as Morsey. Back to halfway in Twanzebe. Along the floor, he gives it to O'Shea. Now it's with Morsey. 11 minutes still to play. Taylor. Wide right towards the corner of the City area. In comes his cross straight into the waiting paws of Edison.
Yeah, we should have done better there. We sort of had good control of the ball. We had plenty of people in the box. You know, we just had to sort of get the right type of cross in. You know, not favour the goalkeeper, just favour your attacking players.
Edison, as the temperature seems to dip a little bit further. 10 to go afterwards. 0800 141 2121, the phone number. Chat to Mick and Graham on that, or text 81333. Start those messages. SFK WhatsApp 08000 321 333. Again, SFK at the start. And if you want to get involved in the Blue Hour tomorrow, just give me thoughts on Ipswich Town. The email's brenner@bbc.co.uk. Particularly keen to get your 90 and 5s, your 5-word phrases to sum up this 90 minutes of Ipswich Town action, or just indeed how you're feeling about the Blues at the moment ahead of Anfield on Saturday. Grealish controls the ball from Edison, gives it to Lewis. Lewis gives it back towards Gvardiol. Now it's Edison, swings it out to the right back area. Doku towards Nunez. Burgess wins it. Now it's Diaz who goes back towards Edison. Poor kick from Edison, but he gets it to McAtee. Even the luck's going Manchester City's way. McAtee, who made it 6-0, gives it straight to Leif Davis. He's certainly a lot better than that, but we'll take it. Davis finds Luongo. There is Philogene back towards Luongo. Won by O'Reilly. O'Reilly infield to Mubama. Taylor's all over him in the battle of the substitutes. The referee's played a good advantage. Gundogan has it for City. Goes so far. Grealish desperate to get on the ball far side. Gundogan finally gives it to him. Grealish back towards Rico Lewis. 9 to play on BBC Radio Suffolk. Town fans still in good voice. They're trying to get behind their side. Both managers staring on down below us. Kieran McKenna's thoughts to come within half an hour, one would hope, after full time. So many media commitments after games. There it is. Kieran McKenna probably do at least half a dozen interviews on camera before he comes and joins the radio huddle. McAtee to Doku on the right hand side, both goal scorers. Doku up against Davis, takes him on, gets to the byline, low fist cross in, sliced away by Burgess, got it as far as Lewis round the corner to Grealish just outside the Ipswich area. Yeah, Saturday afternoon full match commentary. Alex Matthew alongside me at Anfield for Liverpool versus Ipswich Town. Grealish having a battle with Ben Johnson. Here is Grealish on the ball yet again, running forward only so far. City don't seem to have a massive urgency to get more goals, but give them half a chance, they'll want to make it 7 or even worse for Town. Here is McAtee, closed down by Philogene, England under-21 colleagues. Diaz, just with Ruben across his shoulders, gives it infield to Gvardiol. Change of direction from him. Now it's with McAtee, whose brother's actually a striker with Bolton Wanderers in League One. Diaz, two halfway in between the two managers. Not a great deal happening at the moment, it has to be said, which isn't necessarily a bad thing as far as Town are concerned. Grealish now wanting to take on Johnson to a point. Johnson backing off. Grealish still has the ball. Morsey goes towards Grealish. Grealish then goes back to Lewis. Infield to Gvardiol between the lines to Lewis. Mbama's made a run. It's not come to him. Instead it's gone to Gundogan. Gundogan tiptoes around Philogene. Still has it Gundogan. Tries to thread it through a tiny little gap which is closed down by the Ipswich midfield. Nunez to McAtee. Infield to O'Reilly. Forward looking for Gundogan. O'Shea's in the way. Just got his feet sorted out and found Burgess as McAtee tried to rob him in a threatening position. Burgess plays it off McAtee for a Town throw.
Yeah, it's just they're playing with us, really, aren't they? You know, this is so difficult to keep going, really, and this is all you can do. We mustn't just die a death. We just got to keep defending as much as possible, you know, and just we'll basically do our best.
29,841 witnessing this win for Manchester City, which it was always going to be once it went 3-0, in all honesty, never mind the fact that it's been doubled since then, the scoreline. Diaz to Nunez, back it goes to Diaz, square towards Gvardiol, into the centre circle. Final 5.5 minutes. City happy to up the passing stats and increase the possession percentage at the moment. Nice and comfortable for them. Nunez, a fair number of these players still out on the field, will start against Paris Saint-Germain in the week. Gvardiol amongst them, out to the far side, and Rico Lewis to Grealish. Grealish jinks in field. A stretching challenge from Taylor doesn't make contact. Grealish still has the ball, gives it up to Mbama. He can't link up with a City player, so Town get it back with Johnson to Morsey on towards Taylor. Johnson stands on the ball but gets it back to Twanzebe, who hits it high to the far side. And Lewis.
We can't even sort of get the ball out. We can't pass it out. We're sort of like, you know, we're almost lacking confidence individually, and we're almost passing the buck, you know, just trying to say to a colleague, well, you see if you can do something, because I can't, you know. And they just dominating the ball when they've got it. As soon as we get it, we look as if we're going to lose it, you know, really quickly.
Here is O'Reilly, gives the ball to Nunez, to McAtee underneath us. City just toying with Ipswich Town at the moment. Town just can't get a hold of it at all. Ball's just going from claret shirt to claret shirt. There is Jack Grealish. So 10-1 on aggregate across the two games against Manchester City. As I keep saying, there's always a risk of that happening this season against someone. Let's just hope that Saturday's scoreline's a bit more respectable. Town don't want to get hammered like this twice in a row ahead of that huge game against Southampton here. What a game that is, a week on Saturday. Next time we're at Portman Road. From one end of the table to the other, champions-elect to Southampton, who look pretty much 90% destined for relegation, if not more than that. Still just one win all season for Southampton. City with Diaz to Nunez. Nunez just having a little run across the back line of Manchester City. And he's now crossing halfway down the left side. Lewis towards Mubama. Mubama comes in, field still. Mubama gives it to Grealish. Town have players back. Grealish trying to win the ball back against Morsey. He's managed to do that. They're on a bit of a wrestle between the two of them. I had Sam down as the favourite, but Grealish got there. Doku on the left-hand side, getting a full 90 minutes. Might well be replaced by Savinho in the week. Lewis to Grealish. Funny old game to watch at the moment. O'Reilly. Both sides ready for full time, but it's not going to come at least for another 3 minutes. Nunez, who's completely vacated the right back area. He's just playing as an orthodox midfielder now. Getting on the ball wherever he wants it. Diaz to Gvardiol. Hurst's going to go on a sprint to close down Edison. And it goes from Edison to Nunez. Diaz down the line. Wow, infield to O'Reilly. O'Reilly trying to get away from Davis, who's going after him. Tries his best to pull him down. He's not managed to. Morsey comes back and blocks him off. Cleared away as far as Philogene. To the edge of the area, Leif Davis. Burgess towards halfway. Tired ball. Diaz is in the way. Town will be tired as well. Done a lot of chasing. Gundogan just blocks off Philogene. Final 90 seconds of the 90 minutes. O'Reilly to Gundogan. Here is O'Reilly again. Turns away from Sam Morsey. Gundogan through a gap into the midfield area. Grealish along the deck to Doku, trying to take on Tuanzebe. Tuanzebe's done well. Typical Tuanzebe work, that one-on-one, very impressive. Taylor comes away with the ball, but not for long. Has to go backwards as Doku and Grealish letting a pincer movement on him. Morsey jabs the ball back into the Ipswich area, and O'Shea gives it to Walton. Walton will just get there ahead of Mubama. He's a tall lad, the striker. Burgess to Walton. Walton across his 6-yard area. 30 seconds before we're told how much added on time there is. Town fans are laying every pass. It's not lasted long. Doku's taken it away from Taylor. He's got such quick feet, Doku. Doku edge of the area that quick that his body went too far. Well, his feet went ahead of his body, really. He lost possession of the ball. Town now with Cameron Burgess. Davis is making a run down this left touchline. Still full of energy. Philogene too much on that ball for Davis.
Unlucky there.
Yeah.
Decent ball by Burgess to Philogene, and his control and pass looked to be good, but it just evaded Leif Davis.
3 minutes of added on time to be played. As the cameras zoom in on Phil Foden, who did a lot of the damage in that first half. Lots of people leaving before full time, numerous empty blue seats around. It's not going to be easy for those Manchester City fans to get back by train to Manchester at this time on a Sunday night. One wouldn't have thought, if indeed it is possible at all. But they'll have smiles on their faces as they go back to their cars and coaches after this one. Just what they needed. Gundogan crosses into the Ipswich area towards McAtee. This time his header's off target. It was a very difficult header to put back onto target.
Yeah, it was a good run. He just got on the outside of Leif Davis, the run, but it actually just took him a little bit into a sort of a poor angle, and it was going to be a difficult header to beat Christian Morton.
Burgess. Luongo to Philogene. Luongo wants the return ball. Philogene's held on to it, shifts it in field, clips over the top of Mubama towards Tuanzebe, takes the ball on his chest. Now it's with Morsey. Be interesting to see whether it's he or Phillips starts at Anfield next Saturday, whether it's maybe the pair of them. Burgess for Ipswich Town, trying to get Hurst through. Diaz steps in there. We're at the midway point of the added on 3 minutes. Gundogan, not quite been the same performance from City since the changes were made. Town fans still making a good noise. Whoever's in here, fair play to them. City with Nunes. Good challenge from Davis, gets Philogene on the ball. Slick footwork from the debutant on this left-hand side. Philogene still has it. Infield it goes to Morsey. Final minute of the added-on 3. Morsey then to O'Shea. Wouldn't it be great if Ipswich Town can get the last goal of this game? This is their final chance to do it. Burgess belts a strong pass to Davis, which he deals with. Luongo has a chance to cross the ball into the box, which he's done towards Jack Taylor. It's a good ball from Luongo. Just went over the top of Taylor. And also Johnson, who was in there beyond the far post.
Yeah, it was a good ball. We had the choice of 2 on the back post, and if one of them could have won it, he could just sort of head the ball into the middle and see if he could find Hurst in the middle. So that was better play from the players, you know. But this has been a tough half, this one.
TV cameras zoomed in on Kieran McKenna. Down below, so we'll get his thoughts hopefully in the next half hour or so. Final few seconds of this game at Portman Road. Edison gets play back underway, and that is the end. A 6-0 hammering for Ipswich Town by defending Premier League champions Manchester City. The kind of scoreline we did fear ahead of this one has come to pass as the two managers warmly shake hands. Kieran McKenna and Pep Guardiola. It's the Spaniard with a smile on his face. A nice, comfortable, straightforward win in Suffolk for his team ahead of a massive Champions League game against Paris Saint-Germain in the week. Men against boys, this one. Manchester City have cruised to a 6-0 win.
Yeah, very much so, and it's hard to sort of cling to anything. All I can sort of cling to really is that I thought that we opened the game nicely. You know, we didn't sort of show any sort of fear. We looked confident, we looked ready for the game, and for whatever, 15 minutes, it was a good end-to-end match, and I thought, hello, this could be anything, are we going to be good enough to sort of find one or two problems in the Man City team, which other clubs have found recently? Or are Man City, who had also started the game well, are they going to sort of rise through it? And really the answer was that it was Man City who were going to rise up and up and up and get better and better and better. And slowly but surely the goals came and it all looked, beyond us, if you like. And then, the only other glimmer of hope we had was, we probably had the first chance of the second half and missed it. And then they score immediately after, and that was the end of the game, really. They were able from that moment onwards to do basically what they wanted to do to us. If they wanted to keep possession, they were able to do it. If they wanted to create an opportunity, they were able to do that as well. But in the end, this is a super performance from Manchester City. I don't think we see many more of this calibre of performance from this group of players, because it is still an ageing group. It is still a group that has reached an inconsistent stage. This was a great day for them, but I still don't believe there's going to be many more from them. As far as we're concerned, twice this season we've been hurt by poor performances and poor results. The first one for me was Newcastle, and we've responded to that one. The results immediately after Newcastle were good. The performances were good as well. This one, we've got to do exactly the same. We've got to forget about it, put it very firmly in the back of our minds, and we've got to get on with the situation ahead of us. Whether it's Liverpool away, it doesn't matter. We've got to respond to it. We've got to, not long after we played Newcastle, we had Arsenal away. Similar situation, going away from home against a good team. And when we went down to the Arsenal, we put on a good performance and kept everything down to a minimum down there. We've got to do the same up at Liverpool. It's got to be a good response, from a poor performance.
Kieran McKenna's thoughts to come on his worst defeat as Ipswich Town manager. I think I'd sum that up. It's a painful pleasure to watch that Manchester City side in action this afternoon. They've cruised to a 6-0 win here at Portman Road.